Hello, welcome to another episode of Baggers Chat. The band is back together this week. We do have Jack. He's still not 100%, but he is here. I guess that's the main thing. It could be in better circumstances, though, off the back of a 4-point loss to the Pies, which Ethan looks very happy about. Of course, the Pies finished 11-13-79 to the Blues, 11-9-75, a heartbreaking 4-point loss. We currently sit 5th on the ladder, 8-3. How are you feeling, Speechley? And how are you feeling, as in he's still sick, but also how are you feeling about the performance?
Let's just say shit. I think that covers it.
Both of them?
Yep.
Beautiful. Run us through the game a bit more in depth if we can. Just through the game, if you could. How did you see it, mate? You didn't go, obviously, because you're too busy saving the world with your sickness, but how did you read the game?
Well, I feel a little bit robbed because the only good footy we played was the second quarter and I wasn't able to watch that part. So that was a little bit frustrating. But so it was just, just one of those games where just everything's not going your way. Obviously, injuries didn't go our way. I mean, there's a few umpire decisions go over. That happens every game. That's not a focus. That's not why we lost. But then, yeah, it was just seeing that the whole game, just that everything leading up to the game, during the game, just seemed to be going against us. And it was just one of those games I feel like nothing you do would matter and you're always bound to lose, which is frustrating.
Absolutely, mate. Well said. Ethan, we'll go to you, mate.
Yeah, it was a bit of a roller coaster that was shit. There was, first quarter. I think when we hit the lead, I think it was like 13-6 at one point in the first quarter. And I was a bit, I was like, oh, here we go. We're settled. And we certainly weren't. And Collingwood were just all over us till then, since then. And, second quarter, we hit the lead, but it just didn't seem, the Carlton we've seen in previous weeks. Third quarter, I don't think we kicked a goal in the third quarter, did we? One goal? No goals. If we kick one goal in the third quarter, win the game. Last quarter, too late. Again, too late. Once again, Zach Fisher, 25 metres out, set shot, misses. We lose by 4. Just remember those little moments. People go, oh, it's not important. It is, but we'll move on and hopefully...
It definitely is important, but also... realistically, they should have beaten us by a lot more. I know they only had, 4 scoring shots in the end, but their misses were pretty dreadful. Like, no matter who it was, they had some pretty average misses. But we played pretty average for the whole game, I think it's fair to say. But if we did kick a goal late and won by a point or two, it still would have been just as sweet. Pato, how did you read the game, mate?
Yeah, mate, massive reality check for me. I think the main thing that I'm saying is just that a lot of teams... probably around this. I mean, we saw Melbourne lose on the weekend. I think just a lot of good sides probably had that lapse, but it's so frustrating that it's against Collingwood. I know that I was speaking to like a few mates and the next 3 games, next 2 games from now also, it was Collingwood, Essendon, and Richmond. I'm like, if I had to lose one, it would be Richmond because I didn't want to lose to Essendon and I didn't want to lose to Collingwood. But unfortunately, that's just how it's planned out. But it's just... we just have to respond. I think it's probably a good time that the bye came now because it's just a good time for the players to reflect.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously we lost our Jacob Wiedering as well. He's confirmed to be out for up to 6 weeks, which that obviously happened early in the game, which definitely hurt us. It was almost like the straw, I guess, that broke the camel's back in the sense that we've dealt with injuries throughout the year, whether it's, Harry Mackay, Charlie Cairno. He hasn't been injured, so shouldn't be saying that. But Matthew Kennedy, I think, was a big one for this game as well. We missed up, I think he would have been a big in. But yeah, just Wiedering going down certainly didn't help. How did you read that, Speechley?
Yeah, look, obviously it doesn't help. I mean, you lose so much structure, especially against a tall forward line like Collingwood. They can throw Cameron and Cox back, and when you've got Lewis Young as your only key back, it really stretches you and it's hard to defend really, and then that just creates them scatter back with like Ollie Henry and that who kicked a few goals and between them Lipinski as well. So you lose a lot of structure. Leadership as well down there. Obviously, you have Doherty, but I mean, you lose your vice captain. It's not good. But I mean, and not many teams can cover. I mean, Melbourne lost Stephen May and they lost. So I mean, it just shows the best key backs in the league are not replaceable, especially in game when Jack Carroll's medical sub.
Absolutely, completely agree, mate. Yeah, it's interesting that like I still think we had enough experience-wise. Like Doherty, obviously very experienced. Plowman is now fairly experienced, been around a while. But yeah, it definitely did look. We almost looked very scared and panicky, and like we just didn't know what to do with the ball in hand with Wiedering going down. Is that how you read it, Pato? You bouncing around there a bit?
Yeah, I think that was actually spot on just because we did. I think as soon as Wiedering went down, like you need to remember that we have like a Lewis Young, Plowman had to step up, and as soon as the team shows a little bit of panic, that's when the opposition actually pounces on that and actually gets in front, and that's exactly what we saw. Like as you said, just so much panic, and I'm like, we need to remember that this team is it was 8-2 on the weekend. It just absolutely baffles me that I just can't comprehend how Voss can let that happen. Because we haven't seen that a lot through the year, and just some changes. Like we didn't see much change. Even just to maybe put Plowman, like yes, he had to play more of his key forward, but even change that, maybe Nick Newman as another player to play on a tall. Like there's no other option. But I just didn't see much of a plan B, which was unfortunate.
You said about that no other option, and hindsight's a wonderful thing. But should Jack Carroll have been medical sub in the sense that he's played his couple of games? Voss probably said you got a couple of things to work on, but you may not be playing any footy this week because with VFL the way it was structured, you couldn't play. Because typically you can just play VFL and still be medical sub, as far as I'm aware. So, but just because of the way they clashed, you couldn't do that. So I could be wrong there, but so yeah, he was just essentially had a week off footy really, and going into the buys and have 2 weeks off. So would you have went with a different option for medical sub, Pato?
Yeah, 100%. I know that last week I spoke about Brody Kemp. He would have been a perfect replacement for Wiedering. Like, of course we don't speak about. Of course we don't know who's going to be injured during the game, but like, it's just the utility type that I've loved. And Jack Carroll, like, I think if we drop a guy like Jack Carroll, even as a kid, I just hate kids playing as medical sub, like, especially if they're brand new to the system, only played 2 games, as you said. So I personally think that Brody Kemp would have been a perfect replacement. But in hindsight, it's just, really unfortunate.
Absolutely, mate. Well said. We've got you, Heath. Obviously just been on Weeders and then also medical sub, mate, who should have... I think you said Martin pre-game, didn't you? So I'll be interested to hear if you've changed your mind there or what happened.
I'll definitely not change my mind. I'm not really sure what the thinking was of the medical sub. Like, Carroll's been playing that half forward, mid-wing role. I'm not really sure that if Nunes went down, it wouldn't have been, it's just... I don't really know what he was going to bring to the game. And, it's a big game and, I don't really know what's the point. We didn't need, if a mid goes down, we've got the depth in the midfield in that 22 on the weekend. Like if pretend a Chera went down, I think we would have been okay in the middle. Obviously it's not ideal, but, when you got to be prepared for a key back considering when we have no one available and, the depth we have currently now is being tested. And I think it's really tipped over the edge with Wiedering and it showed on the weekend.
I think that's very well said, mate. In terms of if Chero does go out, touch wood, didn't go out, so everything's good there. But we'll go through the top disposals. We'll go just real quick. Walsh 35, Doherty 31, Hewitt 31, and this is from top to bottom. Chera 30, and then Chris got 27, and then Sard and Cripper 27, 25 respectively. Did we need another? Our midfield's already stacked. You lose Kennedy, it's still already pretty solid. I know they're not necessarily all midfielders there, but still, we racked up enough disposals in the sense that you could have had that, as you said, utility player like a Kemp who can probably play. If you need a forward, if a forward goes down, if a backman goes down, you can still, rotate, whether it's him going forward or someone switch there, some sort of switch there, Silvani, whatever. I think he just more, I don't know, versatile is the right word, but who should have been medical sub in your eyes, Speech?
Well, I think selection just general was off this week. I think Martin should have been in the starting 22 and not Nunes. I think there was no point playing 3 wings with Cottrell and O'Brien in as well. That was pointless to me. And then, Kemp as medi sub, I think would have made the most sense as well. I think that would have been probably the better team selection. But hey, I'm not Voss, so what do I know?
You're right. Yeah, it's a good point because I do agree with it. But then also, if we win by 10 goals, we don't have any issues with it. You know what I mean? So we can't just back them in when we win and then say this should have happened when we lose. Still good to have an opinion. I do agree, but it is a tough one. Alrighty, we will move on to our predictions really quick because, to be honest, it's quite embarrassing. I had the Blues by 56. Ethan, what did you go, mate?
65, no comment.
Pato?
The Carlton Football Club by 54 points.
Speech wasn't here, and I can say this with confidence that he would have been the closest because I know for one or two things he would have just tipped Collingwood. He's probably would have just tipped us maybe in a very close match just because of the podcast that he is on. But what would you have went, Speechley? Be honest with us. Be honest.
Yeah, look, for the show, for the viewers, I would have gone Baggers by 10. But in my heart, I was saying Pies by not many. Mate, so maybe I shouldn't have been feeling that. Whoopsies, my bad.
You're pretty much the reason we lost. All right, well said, mate. So we'll review some of the matchups now. Just try and find some positives, I guess, throughout the match, and we'll go to Ethan. This is your baby, mate. You take us through this.
Yep. So the first matchup we will look at is obviously Ginnivan, and we had Ginnivan and Stocker on each other. It was built up in the media and all over the different fan channels and podcasts and social media. It was just comments flying everywhere saying, all Carlton fans saying Stocker's going to rip his head apart, and Collingwood fans saying Ginnivan's going to kick 8. But Sardi came to the party and he took on Ginnivan, and I think he beat him quite convincingly. What are your thoughts on that, Speechley?
I mean, yeah, Sardi was phenomenal. Defensively, obviously, Ginnivan was not seen other than, missing absolute shocking sitters. His peroxide hair was not seen. So yeah, Sardi was just phenomenal in all facets of the game, which was rare, I think, for the team. But just on the Stocker Ginnivan matchup, I think they both were atrocious. Thank God that wasn't the matchup. Like Stocker, I don't know if it's just me, but his kicking was apparently, lauded being so good. But has he hit a target since he's been back this season? Like, his kicking is atrocious. Like, he's got to work on that.
You are spot on with that call. His kicking is not good enough for AFL level currently. I think his one good kick was to Cripps in the forward 50. I just think he rushes his ball drop or something. He just doesn't look like solid like a Doc does or a Newman. I don't know. He just rushes his kicks. He's a bit sloppy, but continue, Speechley.
No, yeah, that's about it. That's about my rant. And yeah, Sard, phenomenal. Yep.
I have to agree there. Pato.
Yeah, just very quickly on Stocker. I think his only good kick was the one of his left boot. Like, he's a right footer. And I think he kicked one like inside. I think it was maybe like around the halfback. And he was going off halfback and he went off his left foot. And I'm like, that's the only good kick he's bloody done all day. But yeah, just on Sard and Ginnivan. Yeah, we thought that it was just going to be Stocker v Ginnivan. But yeah, Sard was fantastic. He just showed a lot of fight. Which I think, me personally, is probably his best game in the navy blue. So I think he was absolutely fantastic. And no better place to really do it than in front of 85,000. How many did they get? 80,000.
80,000.
Yeah, 80,000. So 80,000 at the MCG in front of the arch rival. No better place to do it, but just so bad that we lost.
Fucking terrible. Colson, what are your thoughts on Sard's game and also Stocker, as we've touched on that?
Yeah, I think you wrapped. You said, whatever you said about Stocker was very good. I completely agree. But just on Sard though, because I'm a bit more of a positive fella. How good is he? Like, in all seriousness, like whether it's he's not the tallest bloke going around, but like just when he sort of when he goes up and marks, like whether it's a 1-on-1 or whatever, just the way he gets it. Once he gets it, like there's not many people, if any, that can go with him or keep up with him. But yeah, he's just great for mind, and love having him at the club. Been great.
And if I hear one more word saying he's not worth pick 8, get the fuck out. Get the fuck out. Who was pick 8 for that? Who was pick 8? Was it Cox?
Reid. Yeah.
We'll move on from those guys. We'll talk about them in a few weeks when we preview our thumping of the Essendon Football Club. Next matchup, Darcy Moore against Charlie Cairno. I think we've almost got to change this as well to Charlie Cairno against the whole back six of Collingwood. It was just nuts. Cairno just couldn't get, space, and he still kicked 4. What was your thoughts on Cairno and specifically on Moore, especially?
Well, I think when he was just on Moore, he was fantastic because Moore is not very good one-on-one at all. He's probably one of the best key backs in the league that at actually defending. It's not very good at all. He's intercepting by himself, or when he's got 4 other blokes helping him. The one bloke, he looks good, and he had a good game in that regard. But yeah, when it was just him and Cairno tore into pieces, which I thought was pretty expected. Cairno get 4 goals playing against 10 blokes mostly all day was pretty good.
Yeah, and credit. I think we need to give more credit to Collingwood. I think they were fantastic yesterday. They were 10th on the ladder. They played with heart, and then they set up well. And they looked like they were prepared. They've done their research on us specifically in the past few weeks without Harry, and really did well on us. What were your thoughts on Cairno's game, Patterson?
Yeah, I'll say Brownlow. I'll say Coleman Charles. I could say Brownlow. I think it was really good. Once again, he just one of these players that showed some fight when we really needed it. He kicked a really important goal in that last quarter to really get us back in it, and he kicked another one just at the very end. I thought he definitely was good. It just shows how mature he has actually become since his injury. So, yeah, Moore's an interesting one just because I thought he was a good footballer. I mean, of course he is, but I just think that with his one-on-one defensive sort of style, it's not great, and I'm sure that's probably one of his weaknesses. So I think that on the weekend, especially against a different type of forward like Charlie Cairno, he just got found out. But once again, you can't say that Charlie really won this because we lost in the end.
Yeah, I agree, mate. We lost the game, and he probably, due to our team, probably didn't have enough impact in that first half, and that's not on him. It's on the connection into the forward line. Carlton, what were your thoughts on Charlie Cairno?
Yeah, I mean, he's been pretty consistent. Like whether it's a couple of goals here, like 4 goals, 6 goals, 5 goals, whatever. Like if you can back him in to get a few goals each game, it's always pretty solid. To be fair, he's good though. Like in all seriousness, he's a very good player. I agree with what Speed said about Moore as well.
Yeah, and I think the stat is, in the last 4 games, I think he's 22 goals, 6. So it's pretty handy going. And the next matchup is the ruck contest. It's always talked about since the big pit. Went out pretty early in the year. I saw Big Pitt early in the game. I was near the race, and he was having a chat to fans, and just seemed like a really down to earth guy. So I hope his recovery is going well. Shout out Pitt. But what were your thoughts on TDK's game, especially?
Yeah, look, I thought it was pretty disappointing, really. I mean, it's always a tough ask for him every week going up against the Ruckman. Thank God Brody Grundy wasn't playing, is all I can say. Cameron's been good this season. But, I mean, Mason Cox as well, just that extra height. It's very difficult. I thought his around the groundwork was disappointing, though I think he's been much better in the last few weeks with that, but couldn't really get going. It was a little disappointing for me, but it's always tough every week for him. But hopefully he can bounce back when we play Essendon in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, and I think that'll be another tough one. You got Draper, he's solid. He's a big boy. So obviously TDK's probably a bit more skilled than him, but it'll be an interesting matchup. We'll look forward to that in a few weeks' time. Pato, what were your thoughts on TDK's game?
Yeah, I think he probably didn't play his best game, but once again he was competitive, and you can't really expect too much like against a Cameron who has been pretty good this year, and also Cox. Yes, a lot of people don't really rate him too highly, but you can't really shy away from a 7-foot player or 6'11", however tall he is. So he's just it's unfortunate on TDK because you can tell that he gave it his all, but there's just sometimes when the opposition just gets the win, and you can tell that Collingwood actually put that to, like, they really try to focus on that sort of aspect on the game. So of the game. So I thought it was okay, but once again, I just think that hopefully he can respond against Essendon and against Sammy Draper.
On to another Sammy Carlton. Well, what's your thoughts on Tommy DeConning? I felt, quickly before you say something here, I felt like Cameron and Cox weren't that impactful in the game. Like, they didn't really turn the game on its head. But I feel like they took a few important marks. What were your thoughts on Teddy K's game?
Yeah, well said, mate. I think it's pretty stiff on Teddy K. He's a young, growing ruckman, young growing footballer, and Cameron Cox. They're pretty big boys. So yeah, he's very very stiff going up against both of them. Like Sylvain, he's not a ruckman. He can help out, and we love the fact that he's a pinch hit, but he's not really a ruckman, is he? So I think it's stiff on TDK. I think he played was solid enough, but he lost. But I mean, that's probably what we were expecting in my eyes. But yeah.
No, I completely agree, mate. We'll move on to the last matchup we talked about in the preview, and this is two of the new Collingwood and Carlton players new to the rivalry, and that's Lipinski and Chera. What were your thoughts on that matchup, Speechley?
I thought Chera was probably one of our better mids. He just looks composed when he had the ball a lot more than the others, especially moving forward. And yeah, so I thought he was a lot cleaner. Obviously, not his best games. He had some better games, but I thought he was still pretty good. And then Lipinski had 20-odd touches, kicked a couple of goals in that third quarter, which really hurt us. I think just that structure falling away, letting him sneak in. But yeah, I thought they're both very good. I thought it was a good matchup between them. And then I know it's just a little bit of a turn, but speaking on Lipinski getting by himself, how frustrating was it that Steel Sidebottom took about 4 uncontested marks 40 metres out in the third in the second half? Like, that was, no one went near him all game. No one goes near him anytime we play them. It's just frustrating, but that's a little bit off topic. But yeah,
I think he killed our wingers. Our wingers were terrible defensively, I think, especially in that second half, like you said. He was just let off the leash. It's still Sidebottom, for Christ's sake. Like, he's not a no-name rookie. He's a guy who's pretty good. And he luckily didn't make us pay too often. And they didn't make us pay too often, and we still lost. So, Pato.
Yeah, it's so frustrating. Like, what is that? Like, Lockie O'Brien, like, he's probably been the best this year. Probably, I mean, not the best in the comp, but I just think that his running's been pretty good. And also Cottrell, like, I thought he was good in patches, but he's not been as good as we've probably thought in the past few weeks. But once again, it was far from our worst. But on Lipinski and Chera, I think Chera, very good, very, very good. Once again, showed some awesome fight. 1 goal. So I reckon that's probably the best game he's played in Navy Blue, in my opinion. I thought he was absolutely fantastic. And same as Sa, there's no better place to really perform that well in front of 80,000 at the MCG. So, but I think Lipinski was pretty good yesterday. He finished with 21 touches, but 2 goals. I think they were pretty vital. So I think it's a close matchup, but I think Lipinski just got it just because Collingwood won in the end.
Yep, well said, Pato. Carlton, any final words on the matchups?
What more is there to add, really? I mean, Chera played, pretty good game. Lipinski, I thought he was pretty good too, to be honest. So he got 20, 21 disposals and 2 goals, something like that. So, yeah, but when Chera gets the ball, another like side, we sort of back him in almost. Like, he looks very good when he gets the ball. But yeah, that's mine.
Yeah, well, with Chera, I was actually, once Cairno kicked that goal a minute ago, I said, Chera's going to kick the winning goal. I felt like it was going to be a snap out of the pack. He can use both feet very well. He can kick both feet better than Stock can kick with his main foot. So we'll move on from Stock. Love your Stock, mate. But we'll move on from the matchups and over to you, Sammy Carlton.
Thanks, mate. Thank you very much. Yeah, well said. You killed that again, like you always do. So obviously we touched on Wiedering being out up to 6 weeks now, and just, I don't know, we just seem to turn the ball over heaps. I don't know if it was that quick, that hack sort of kick forward that kept getting chopped off. We had 78 turnovers, which is about sort of 12, about a dozen more than usual. They had 72. As I said, they could have probably, they could have been more damaging, which they weren't. So they were 4 above average. We were 12 above average. But yeah, I don't know if it was just that hack kick forward. If we were playing sort of, I guess, deeper like, playing that move a bit deeper to take whoever, because Wiedering out and Carroll coming in. Yeah, I don't know why, but how do you read the speech?
I think we were just a little bit too conservative. I think that led to a lot of turnovers. Obviously, the hat kicks out of D50 and into 450 as well led to a lot of intercept marks for the Pies. But yeah, just a lot of going down the same wing, especially in that second half, and just not changing angles. But then when we do decide, oh yeah, let's go in the middle, we'll go when there's 3 Collingwood players on Corey Durden. So it was just no good decision making, I think, for a lot of the game. I think that really cost us. There was no real composure, and I guess that was the catalyst for 78 turnovers.
Absolutely, mate. Well said. We'll go to you now, Heath. What do you reckon?
I completely agree with Speechley. It hurts my head hearing about Durden 1 on 3. But we'll move on from that. But yeah, ball use wasn't good enough. We were too. I rate what we do. I rate what we do with ball in hand this year. I think, we back ourselves in. We're not just like, we're going to go, all the time, 100% all the time. I think we do the right thing. And, the stats show teams that go to the wing more times than not are better. So and I think Melbourne goes there 88% of the time to 12% in this corridor, which is pretty, fascinating stat. And, North Melbourne are the team that goes to the corridor the most, and where are they at right now? So, but moving on from those teams, I think ball use, slap kicks to Cairno V6. And then the worst thing is when you're slap kicking, you got to be cramming, and we weren't even cramming. Like, I think it was, a bit of a learning curve for a Jesse Moldop. He had a good goal in the last quarter. I felt like he had a pretty high pressure act in the game, but he just didn't have that impact. I felt, always was good in that last quarter, kept us in it, but late again. What's the point of turning up in the last quarter if you're not going to turn up for 4 quarters? And I thought Durden was okay. But ball use not good enough.
No, well said, mate. Paddle, we'll go to you, mate. How do you rate it?
Yeah, just on the Durden one, it just reminded me of Michael Givers against Gold Coast a few years ago. When Tavi's just going absolutely off his nut. But I just think overall, there's not really much more to add. It's just Collingwood just simply outplayed us, and there's no other way to put it. As much as it frustrates me, but Collingwood just simply were better on the day. And it frustrates me so much to say that, but it's just how it is.
Yeah, we're sort of scared to take the game on, and we were completely outmarked as well. I think it was 86-95. And their marks inside 50 was probably the big thing. I think they had 18. Well, I know they did because they're right in front of me. 18 marks inside 50 to 9. Contested marks 17 to 10. What do you put that down to, Speech?
I put it down to lack of structure both ways. I think on the turnovers, we just touched on, we had so many of them. We lost so much structure as soon as that ball got turned over. And I think also with the sideboarding thing, just letting the wings and other players just float into that 40-meter range for no reason and just unopposed. I think we did that way too often. So marks side 50, ridiculous. That should not happen again. And then just around the ground, it was so frustrating the last 5 minutes when we needed to get them to turn the ball over. We were still giving them 20 meters of space. It was frustrating. I think that was kind of the theme of the day. We were just giving them way too much space.
Completely agree, mate. Heath, what about you?
Yeah, I think we let guys like Ollie Henry take too many marks, in my opinion. There's small guys, as you see here, Dacos, just these chippy little kicks, letting guys run around. They're not superstars, some of these guys. It's not hard to defend, really. Like, not AFL level, but our system's been fantastic compared to last year. And, Sunday was just I don't know, it was not us. And hopefully we can fix that quickly.
Pato?
Absolutely spot on. Nothing more else to add. I just think that if we're letting guys like Ollie Henry dominate the game and pretty much win the game off his own boot, that just shows that it wasn't our day.
Absolutely, mate. Outmarked, out everything. Our efficiency inside 50 was about 35%, which is just absolutely atrocious. No two ways about it. Yeah, we spoke about, as you said, like the Carroll being sub was very interesting. Like our midfielders still racked it up. Like we had, said Walsh 35, Doc 31, Hewitt 31, Chera 30, Chris 27, and then Sard and Cripper touch over 50 between them. Like, yeah, like what would be the issue with putting Kemp in as sub? I don't know, but yeah, we'll get into it's the forward battle. Charlie still kicked 4 goals too, so Mr. Consistent. Pato's had enough. He's a bit tired. Owi's 2 goals. Oliver Henry and Pat Lipinski, 5 goals between them. Now we'll go to the best on ground. I know it's tough, but it's probably not tough actually. There's probably one standout for mine. But what about you, Heath?
Yeah, 3 votes. S. Walsh. I think he was a standout for both teams. I don't think. Well, I don't know who could have been better for them. They had more contributors on the day, which led to their win. And I thought Walshy was fantastic. 35 touches, an important goal. And I think he had 600 metres gained, which a lot of people have been giving him shit for not having many metres gained in his past few games. And he just shows the impact he has when he's going forward more with the ball. I thought he was going to kick a goal with 50 seconds to go. I think the crowd and the MCG would have had to have a reconstruction because the stadium would have gone in half. But he played a ripper, and yeah, on your Walshy.
Same for me, mate. I'll go Walshy. Speech. Who do you got, mate?
Adam Sard again for me. 27 touches, 85% efficiency, 11 intercepts, 5 marks, 500 metres gained, and Ginnivan in his pocket all day.
Love it, mate. Pato?
Yeah, Adam Sard, absolutely brilliant. I love how Sardi's changed Speechley's mind. A couple last year, I think he wasn't a huge fan. But Sard was terrific. I think probably in the end, Sam Walsh will get the 3 votes. But I think impact-wise, Adam Sard was best on ground for me.
Well said, mate. Obviously, we'll go stuck into the injury list as well, just real quick, because we didn't mention it earlier. Cunningham is now pushed back to play late in the season due to, I believe it was a bit of calf restraint. And yeah, so that's a bit of an issue. Matty Kennedy obviously will be back straight after the bye. And I think Harry should be not long after the bye either. A couple of games they mentioned. Does anyone know about that? Speech, you're off mute, mate. So you tell me, when's Harry back?
I think it says 4 weeks, so 3 more games, I think. Hope so.
Sweet. Yeah, so our injury list is just racking up. You can almost make a best 22 out of that alone. I guess we don't make excuses, but hopefully we get them back at the right time of the year. And well, I don't think there's much more to add. Speak Up Speechley sort of already happened throughout the episode because he hasn't really been happy for the last 30 minutes. So did you want to mention anything real quick, Speechley, or you're good, mate?
Just please beat Essendon. That's all I want now, please.
Well said, mate. My
life. Oh, he's pissed. He's pissed. The speech.
He's not happy, is he? All right, it's just good to have him back, though. To be honest, it's not the same without him. It's good to have his all here voice, as always. It wasn't the desired result. It's never a good result losing to Collingwood. We don't like them. We hate them, and they've got one in front of us now. So the ledger needs to be squared again later in the year. But sorry, Ethan, it doesn't matter. Yeah, that we lost. It's good.
How many grannies have they beaten us in?
How many were you alive for?
You.
Yeah. So
in all seriousness, quickly, just mentioning Collingwood. I'd like to congratulate them for their round 11 grand final win. I hope they celebrate hard, and we won't be seeing you in September. So see ya.
Beautiful. There's a TikTok just there, I would have thought. Alrighty. Thanks you all for joining us. And sorry, my lighting's got dramatically worse for some reason. But thank you all for joining us. Hopefully we're in person next episode. Mid-season, obviously draft coming up. Mid-season review for Baggers Chat coming up as well. Thanks for sticking with us. And yeah, make sure you like, subscribe, do it all. And Pato, you got the scarf in your hand, mate. Run us through it.
And as always, boys, the Baggers.
Go Blues!